Woman marries poor cowboy to escape debt, but discovers he's secret billionaire owner. She signed up to marry a poor cowboy to escape her debts. He picked her up in a beat-up truck and lived in a tiny cabin. But when she discovered he actually owned the entire valley, the betrayal cut deeper than any lie. Can love survive when it's built on deception? Hit like and subscribe because this story of hidden identity and tested trust will keep you guessing until the very end. Lily Martinez stared at the profile one more time before hitting submit. Jack Henderson, age 32, cowboy, small ranch in Wyoming, looking for a wife to help with the land. Honest work for honest pay. Nothing fancy, just a simple life. Simple sounded perfect. Lily's life had been anything but simple for the past 2 years. Ever since her father's death, ever since she'd discovered the mountain of debt he'd left behind, ever since the collectors started calling day and night. The apartment was gone, the car was gone. Her credit was destroyed. She had $300 to her name and nowhere to go. A mail-order bride service seemed like the only option left. She'd read through dozens of profiles. Rich men looking for trophies, older men looking for nurses, creepy men who made her skin crawl. But Jack's profile was different. Simple, honest, real. Just needs someone who's not afraid of hard work. Ranch life isn't easy, but it's good, peaceful. If you're looking for a fresh start, I can offer that. A fresh start. God, Lily needed that. She filled out the application, uploaded a photo plain, no makeup, just her. She didn't lie about her debts or her situation. If Jack was going to reject her, better now than after she'd traveled across the country. The response came within an hour. You sound perfect. When can you come? Fine. Lily arrived in Jackson, Wyoming with one suitcase and a heart full of hope and terror in equal measure. The bus station was tiny, barely more than a covered bench. The September air was crisp, carrying the smell of pine and the promise of winter. Mountains loomed in every direction, making Lily feel small and insignificant. A truck pulled up, old, battered with rust along the wheel wells and a crack in the windshield, the kind of truck that had seen better decades. A man climbed out. Lily's breath caught. The profile picture hadn't done him justice. Jack Henderson was tall, maybe 6'2", with broad shoulders and the kind of lean, muscular build that came from actual work, not a gym. Dark hair, slightly too long. Strong jaw shadowed with stubble. Eyes so blue they looked almost artificial. He wore faded jeans, work boots, and a flannel shirt with the sleeves rolled up. Every inch the cowboy he'd claimed to be. Lily. His voice was deep, rough, like he didn't use it often. Jack. She picked up her suitcase. It's nice to finally meet you in person. Likewise. He took her suitcase, tossing it easily into the truck bed. It's about an hour drive to the ranch. Hope you don't mind the truck. She's old but reliable. It's fine. They drove in silence through landscape that took Lily's breath away. Mountains, valleys, rivers cutting through pristine wilderness. They didn't pass a single house for 30 minutes. It's remote out here, Jack said finally. Nearest town is 45 minutes. Grocery stores only open 3 days a week. Internet is spotty. Still want to go through with this? Yes. Lily turned to look at him. I'm not afraid of remote or hard work. I'm more afraid of going back to the city with nothing. Something in his expression softened. Fair enough. They turned onto a dirt road that wound through pine trees. After 10 minutes, a cabin appeared in a clearing. It was small, tiny even, maybe 800 square feet with a peaked roof and a front porch that sagged slightly. Firewood was stacked against one wall. A vegetable garden, mostly brown now, with approaching winter, occupied one side of the yard. This was the ranch. This was what she'd signed up for. Jack must have seen her expression. I know it's not much, but it's warm, dry. The roof doesn't leak. Much. It's fine, Lily said, because what else could she say? She'd signed a contract. 6 months minimum. If she left early, she'd get nothing, and she needed that settlement money. Inside was even smaller than it looked from outside. One main room serving as kitchen, dining, and living area, a wood stove in the corner, furniture that looked handmade, sturdy, but rough. Everything was clean at least. No dishes in the sink, no dirt on the floors. Bedrooms through there, Jack said, pointing to a door. There's only one. I've been sleeping on the couch. You can have the bed. I can't take your bed. I insist. It's only fair. He set her suitcase down. Bathroom's out back. Outhouse, I'm afraid. No plumbing up here yet. Water comes from the well. You pump it by hand. An outhouse. No running water. Lily felt her dreams of a fresh start crumbling. I know it's primitive, Jack said quietly. If you want to leave, I'll drive you back to town. No hard feelings. Lily looked around the cabin, looked at Jack, who was watching her with an expression that might have been resignation. He expected her to run. Probably every woman who'd seen this place had run, but Lily had nowhere to run to. I'll stay, she said. A deal's a deal. Relief flashed across his face. Thank you. I'll do my best to make this work. I know it's asking a lot. What exactly does ranch work entail? Lily asked. Your profile mentioned helping with the land. Feeding livestock, mending fences, helping with the garden and growing season, general maintenance, cooking, cleaning if you're willing. I work long days, so having someone else handle the domestic stuff would help. Livestock. How many animals do you have? Just a few chickens for now. Maybe get some goats in spring. Nothing big. A few chickens. In a tiny cabin with an outhouse. This was the glamorous life she'd signed up for. But at least it was away from the debt collectors. Away from the shame and the constant fear. Okay, Lily said. I can do that. A-bomb. The first week was brutal. Lily woke at dawn to Jack already gone out checking fences, he'd said. She fed the chickens 6 scraggly birds that pecked at her ankles and seemed personally offended by her existence. She pumped water from the well, her arms aching after the first bucketful. She learned to cook on the wood stove, which was nothing like a regular stove, and burned everything until she figured out the heat control. Jack worked from before sunrise until after dark. He came home exhausted, ate whatever Lily had managed to cook, and fell asleep on the couch within minutes. They barely spoke. Lily explored the property when she had time. The cabin sat in maybe 2 acres of cleared land. Beyond that, forest pressed close on all sides. She never saw any cattle, any horses, any sign of the ranch Jack had mentioned. On day 8, Lily decided to confront him. Jack, where's the rest of the ranch? He was eating dinner soup that Lily had actually managed not to burn. He looked up confused. What do you mean? Your profile said you had a ranch. This is a cabin with 6 chickens. And where are the cattle, the horses, the actual ranch? Oh, Jack set down his spoon. I might have exaggerated slightly. This is more of a homestead than a ranch. I'm building toward a ranch. In a few years, I'll have the money for livestock. A few years, Lily's voice rose. Jack, I signed up to help with us ranch. This is practically camping. I know, I'm sorry. I should have been clearer in my profile. He looked genuinely apologetic. If you want to leave, I'll understand. I can pay you for the week you've been here. Lily wanted to leave. God, she wanted to leave. But she had nowhere to go. No money, no options. It's fine, she said, swallowing her frustration. I'll stay. You don't have to. I said, I'll stay. They finished dinner in tense silence. Despite everything, Lily started to adapt. She learned the rhythm of cabin life, waking with the sun, pumping water, feeding chickens, cooking simple meals, reading by lamplight since there was no electricity. It was hard, primitive, nothing like the life she'd imagined, but it was also peaceful. No debt collectors, no shame, no constant noise of the city, just mountains and silent. Jack remained a mystery. He left before dawn, came back after dark. Sometimes she'd see him working in the distance, chopping wood, mending fences. He moved with an easy competence that suggested he'd been doing this work his whole life. On their 2-week anniversary, Jack came home earlier than usual. Want to walk with me? He asked. I need to check the north fence before dark. Could use the company. Lily agreed, grateful for something to do besides sit in the cabin. They walked through forest that was turning golden with autumn. Jack pointed out trees, plants, animal tracks. He had an encyclopedic knowledge of the wilderness. You really love it out here, Lily observed. I do. Always have. He helped her over a fallen log. I grew up in the city, actually. Hated every minute. The noise, the crowds, the constant rushing. When I finally got enough money to buy land and get out, I did. Where did you get the money, if you don't mind me asking? Inheritance, small one. Enough for the Lennon cabin. I've been building slowly since then. They reached a fence line. Jack inspected it carefully, testing each post. Why did you want a wife? Lily asked. You seem perfectly capable of handling this alone. I am capable. He moved to the next post. But being capable isn't the same as not being lonely. I wanted someone. Someone to share this with. Someone who'd understand the appeal of a simple life. This is beyond simple, Jack. This is practically pioneer living. He smiled, the first real smile she'd seen from him. It transformed his face, making him look younger, happier. Yeah, I guess it is. Too simple for you. Lily thought about it. The cabin was tiny. The work was hard. The isolation was complete. But she wasn't afraid here. Wasn't ashamed. Wasn't drowning. Ask me in 6 months, she said. Yeah. Slowly they became friends. Jack started coming home for lunch, bringing stories about his morning work. Lily started asking questions about the land, about his plans. They'd eat together, talk together, then Jack would head back out for afternoon work. One day Jack brought home a deer he'd shot. Ever butcher a deer? He asked. Never. I'll teach you. He did. It was messy, gross, and somehow fascinating. Jack explained each cut, what it was used for, how to wrap and store it. They worked together for hours until they had enough venison to last weeks. You're good at this, Jack said as they cleaned up. Most city girls would have run screaming. I'm not most city girls. No. He looked at her with something that might have been respect. You're not. That night, they cooked venison steaks over the wood stove. They were perfect, tender, and flavorful in a way grocery store meat never was. This is amazing, Lily said. It's better when you work for it. Jack raised his water glass. To hard-won meals. To hard-won meals. They ate by lamplight, the cabin warm from the stove, conversation flowing easier than it ever had. Lily found herself laughing at Jack's stories about disastrous early attempts at homesteading. Jack smiled at her descriptions of city life that seemed alien to him now. When dinner ended, neither wanted to move. I should clean up, Lily said. I'll help. They washed dishes together, their shoulders brushing in the tiny kitchen space. When they finished, Jack didn't immediately retreat to his usual spot by the stove. He lingered, looking at her. Lily, I want you to know, I'm glad you stayed. Even though this isn't what you signed up for, I'm glad you're here. Something warm bloomed in Lily's chest. I'm glad too. Surprisingly. Surprisingly. I expected to hate this, the isolation, the work, all of it. But I don't. I actually kind of love it. Yeah. Jack's smile was soft, genuine. I'm glad. When they stood in the lamplight, something undefined but definite growing between them. Not quite friendship, not yet romance, but something. Something that felt like possibility. The first snow came in early October. Lily woke to find the world transformed. White covered everything, muffling sound turning the forest into a fairy tale. Jack was already up, layering on warm clothes. Storm's coming, he said. Big one according to the weather radio. We need to prep. They spent the day preparing, brought in extra firewood, filled every container with water from the well, checked that the chickens had enough feed, secured anything that might blow away. By evening, the snow was falling harder. Wind howled around the cabin. Temperature dropped fast. Jack looked worried. If this is as bad as they're predicting, we could be snowed in for days, maybe a week. We have enough supplies. Food, yes. Water, yes. Firewood, barely. We'll have to be careful with the heat. That night, the storm hit in earnest. Snow fell so thick, Lily couldn't see the trees 20 feet away. Wind screamed, shaking the cabin. The temperature inside dropped despite the wood stove burning. Come here, Jack said, patting the couch beside him. We need to share body heat. It's going to be a long night. Lily hesitated, then sat beside him. Jack pulled a blanket over both of them, his arm around her shoulders. Heat radiated from him, welcome against the cold. This okay? He asked. Yeah, thanks. They sat together watching the storm through the window. The wood stove crackled. Outside, the world was a white void. Tell me about your family, Jack said quietly. Your profile mentioned your father passed. Any siblings? Just me. Mom died when I was young. Dad raised me alone. He was complicated. Gambling problem. drinking problem, but he loved me, I think, in his way. I'm sorry. When he died, I found out about the debts, hundreds of thousands of dollars. He'd put everything in my name. The collectors came after me. I lost everything trying to pay them off. Lily's throat tightened. That's why I'm here. It was this or bankruptcy, or worse. Jack's arm tightened around her. That's a lot to carry. What about you? Any family? Parents and a sister. In Connecticut. We're not close. His voice was careful. They didn't understand when I left. Thought I was throwing my life away. Haven't spoken to them in years. Do you miss them? Sometimes, but not as much as I'd miss this if I had to go back. They fell silent. The storm raged. The cabin creaked. But inside, in their small circle of warmth, Lily felt something she hadn't felt in years. Safe. She was safe here, with this quiet cowboy who'd somehow become her friend. And maybe, just maybe, she was starting to feel something more than friendship. The storm lasted 3 days. 3 days snowed in together. 3 days of shared meals, shared warmth, shared stories. 3 days where the outside world ceased to exist, and it was just them. By day 2, they were finishing each other's sentences. By day 3, Lily caught herself watching Jack when he didn't know she was looking. The way his hands moved as he whittled wood by the fire. The way his eyes crinkled when he smiled. The way he always made sure she was warm, fed, comfortable. When the storm finally broke, leaving 3 feet of fresh snow, something had shifted between them. Jack had to dig them out. Lily watched from the window as he shoveled a path to the chickens, to the outhouse, to the well. His breath fogged in the cold air. Snow clung to his hat and shoulders. When he came back in, cheeks red from cold, Lily had hot coffee waiting. My hero, she joked, handing him the cup. Just doing what needs doing. But he smiled at her, warm and real. Their hands touched as he took the cup. Neither pulled away immediately. Lily, Jack said softly, can I ask you something? Sure. Are you happy here? The question surprised her. Yeah, I think I am. It's not what I expected, but I don't want to leave. Good. His thumb brushed across her knuckles. Because I don't want you to leave either. They stood in the tiny kitchen, hands still touching something unspoken, but understood passing between them. Then Jack cleared his throat and stepped back. I should check the fence lines, make sure nothing broke in the storm. Okay. He left. Lily stood holding her coffee, her hand still warm where he'd touched it, and wondered what was happening to her. November arrived with a brutal cold. The cabin stayed warm enough, barely, but everything else was an ordeal. The outhouse was torture. Pumping water meant breaking ice first. The chickens huddled together, barely laying eggs. But Lily and Jack grew closer. He taught her to shoot in case of emergency. They'd practice in the clearing, Jack standing behind her, adjusting her grip, his breath warm on her neck. She taught him to cook beyond basic survival meals. Real food, venison stew with vegetables, fresh bread from scratch. He'd watch her work, eyes following her hands, and sometimes Lily would catch him staring, and he'd look away embarrassed. One evening they were sitting by the fire after dinner. Jack was reading. Lily was mending his shirt, a tear from barbed wire. You don't have to do that, Jack said, looking up from his book. I know, but you only have 3 shirts. You need them all. I could buy more. With what money? You said the homestead barely breaks even. Jack was quiet for a moment. I could make it work. If you need things, Lily, just ask. I want you to be comfortable. I am comfortable. She tied off the thread, cutting it with her teeth. This is actually nice. Quiet. Simple. Most women would hate this. I'm not most women. No. His eyes were warm. You're really not. They fell into silence again. Outside, wind howled. Inside, the fire crackled. Lily felt content in a way she'd never felt in the city. Jack, can I ask you something? Sure. Why did you really come out here? You said you hated the city, but there must be more to it. Jack closed his book, stared into the fire for a long moment. I was engaged, he said finally. 5 years ago, her name was Claire. We were going to get married, have kids, the whole thing. Lily's stomach tightened. What happened? She met someone else. Someone with more money, better prospects. She left 3 weeks before the wedding. His jaw clenched. Everyone knew. Everyone pitied me. I couldn't stay in that city and that life, so I came here. I'm sorry, Estone. Don't be. It taught me something valuable. People say they want simple and honest, but what they really want is easy and comfortable. Claire wanted comfort. She got it with him. And what do you want? Jack looked at her, then something intense in his gaze. I want real. I want honest. I want someone who doesn't need easy to be happy. You want someone who can live in a cabin with an outhouse and 6 chickens. Yeah, he smiled. Someone exactly like that. Lily's heart hammered. Jack, I know this isn't what you signed up for. I know you're only here because you had nowhere else to go. But Lily, these past 2 months, you've made this place feel like more than a cabin. You've made it feel like a home. She set down the mended shirt with shaking hands. It feels like home to me, too. They stared at each other across the firelight. The air between them crackled with tension. Jack stood, crossed to her, held out his hand. Dance with me. There's no music. Don't need music. Lily took his hand. Let him pull her up. They swayed together in the small space, no rhythm except their own breathing. Jack's hand was warm on her waist. Lily's head fit perfectly against his chest. This is crazy, she whispered. We barely know each other. I know you take your coffee black. I know you sing when you cook. I know you're afraid of the dark but too stubborn to admit it. I know you're the strongest person I've ever met. His voice was rough. I know enough. Lily pulled back to look at him. His face was inches from hers. Kiss me, she said. He did. It started soft, tentative, then deepened into something desperate and honest and real. Jack's hands tangled in her hair. Lily's fingers dug into his shoulders. They kissed like they'd been waiting forever for this. When they finally pulled apart, both breathing hard, Jack rested his forehead against hers. Lily Martinez, he whispered. What are you doing to me? Same thing you're doing to Maron. They kissed again and again, eventually made their way to the bedroom they'd been keeping separate all this time. That night, everything changed. The next morning, Lily woke to sunlight and the smell of coffee. Jack was making breakfast, wearing only jeans, his bare back to her. Lily watched him move through the kitchen with easy grace, and her heart swelled with something that felt dangerously like love. Morning, she said from the doorway. He turned, his smile brilliant. Morning, hungry, starving. They ate breakfast together, kissed between bites, laughed at knitting. The cabin felt different now. Warm, not just from the fire, but from happiness. I need to go into town today, Jack said. Supplies, mail. Want to come? Please, I haven't left this property in 2 months. They drove down the mountain in the old truck, Lily's hand in Jack's. The town was tiny, one grocery store, one post office, one diner. Jack parked outside the post office. I'll just be a minute, he said, kissing her quickly before heading inside. Lily waited, watching people go about their small-town lives. Then she noticed something. People were staring at the truck, whispering to each other. One woman pointed, then quickly looked away when she saw Lily watching. Weird. Jack came back with a stack of mail, his expression suddenly tense. Everything okay? Lily asked. Fine. Let's get supplies and head home. At the grocery store, it happened again. People stared, whispered. One man actually stopped and stared openly before his wife pulled him away. Jack, why is everyone staring? Small town, they're not used to strangers. But something in his voice was off. In the truck heading back, Lily saw a newspaper box. The headline caught her eye. Henderson heir returns to Wyoming billionaire's plan for valley development. Henderson. Jack Henderson. Jack stopped the truck. Lily, stop the truck. He pulled over. Lily grabbed the newspaper from his jacket pocket. He must have bought it at the post office. The article had a photo, a professional photo of a man in a suit. A man who looked exactly like Jack, but polished, corporate, powerful. Jack Henderson, heir to Henderson industrial fortune, has purchased over 50,000 acres in western Wyoming, sources confirm. Henderson, whose net worth is estimated at $2.3 billion, has been living on the property for the past 3 years in complete secrecy. Lily's hands shook as she read. The Henderson family made their fortune in manufacturing and tech. Jack Henderson, 32, disappeared from public life 3 years ago after a failed engagement. He has now begun quietly buying land throughout the valley raising questions about his intentions for the area. She looked up at Jack. 50,000 acres. He was gripping the steering wheel, knuckles white. Lily, $2.3 billion. It's not what you think. You lied to me. Her voice cracked. Everything. The poor cowboy, the tiny cabin, the struggling homestead. All lies. I didn't lie, I just didn't tell you everything. Oh, and that's the same thing. Tears burned in her eyes. I trusted you. I thought you were honest. I thought you were different, but you're just like everyone else. Playing games, using people. I'm not using you. Then what do you call this? Bringing me to that cabin, letting me think you were poor, letting me fall for... She stopped herself, but Jack heard it anyway. Letting you fall for me? His voice was rough. Lily, that's exactly why I didn't tell you. Because I wanted you to fall for me. Not my money, not my name, just me. I mean, by lying, though, by not volunteering information you didn't ask for. He ran his hands through his hair. Every woman I ever dated in my old life wanted Henderson money. Henderson connections. They wanted what I could buy them. They didn't want me. So yes, I came out here and I bought land and I lived simply because I wanted to know, needed to know if someone could love me without the money. And I was your test. Lily's voice was cold. Your little experiment in authenticity. No, God, no. I hired you because I was lonely, because I genuinely wanted a wife. But then you showed up and you were you, strong and real and beautiful, and you didn't care that I lived in a cabin or had an outhouse. You adapted, you thrived, and I fell for you, really fell for you, while lying to me every single day. I wasn't lying. The cabin, Jack, that tiny cabin, is that really where you live? Silence, I still want Jack, is that where you really live? No, he admitted quietly. It's where I've been living while I wait for the main house to be finished. My actual house is on the other side of the property. 10,000 square feet. Every luxury, it's almost done. Lily's laugh was bitter. Of course it is. And let me guess, the struggling homestead also a lie? I own 50,000 acres. I have cattle, horses, everything. I kept you separate from that. At the cabin, where things were simple. Where you could play cowboy and I could play the fool. She grabbed her suitcase from the truck bed. Take me back to town. Lily, please. Take me back to town or I'll walk. Jack drove her back in silence, pulled up outside the tiny motel. I'm sorry, he said. I should have told you. But Lily, what we have, it's real. My feelings are real. Are they? Or are they just part of the game? She climbed out of the truck. Don't follow me. Don't call me. We're done. She slammed the door and walked into the motel without looking back. Inside the room, she finally let herself cry. Not because the cabin had been a lie, but because the man she'd fallen for had never really existed. And that hurt more than any debt ever could. Lily stayed in the motel for 3 days. 3 days of crying, of anger, of trying to process the betrayal. Jack called 17 times. She didn't answer. He sent texts. She deleted them without reading. On day 4, someone knocked on her door. Lily opened it to find an elegant woman in her 60s, silver hair, perfectly styled, wearing clothes that cost more than Lily's entire wardrobe. Miss Martinez, I'm Margaret Henderson, Jack's mother. May I come in? Lily almost said no, but curiosity won. She stepped aside. Margaret surveyed the shabby motel room with barely concealed distaste. My son is an idiot. I'm not going to argue with them. Good, when we agree on something. Margaret sat on the single chair. He called me, told me everything, asked me to talk to you. I don't want to hear it. I'm not here for him. I'm here for you. Margaret's eyes were sharp, kind but sharp. Do you love my son? I loved someone who doesn't exist. Bull, you loved exactly who he is. You just didn't know how much money he had. Margaret leaned forward. Money doesn't change who someone is at their core. Jack in that cabin. That was really him, the real Jack, the one who hates cities and loves mountains, who works with his hands and would rather chop wood than attend a gala. Money doesn't change that. He lied to me. He omitted information. There's a difference. Not to me, there isn't. Margaret was quiet for a moment. Did he tell you about Claire, his ex-fiancée? Yes. Did he tell you she took him for $3 million in the settlement, that she sold stories about him to tabloids, that she made him into a joke, the rich boy who couldn't keep a woman? Lily hadn't known that part. Jack built those walls for a reason, Margaret continued. He needed to know someone could love him without the money, without the name, without any of it. That's not a game, Miss Martinez. That's self-preservation. By manipulating me, by protecting himself. Margaret stood. I'm not saying he handled this well. He didn't. He should have told you sooner. But his feelings, those are real. I've never seen him like this. Not with Claire, not with anyone. What does it matter? It's over. Is it? Margaret pulled out a card. This is my number. If you change your mind, if you decide you want the whole truth about Jack, about his life, about why he did what he did, call me. I'll tell you everything. She left. Lily stared at the card for a long time. Then she picked up her phone and made a call. Said, Margaret Henderson's home in Jackson was exactly what Lily expected. Elegant, expensive, tasteful. Margaret served tea in china cups and told Lily everything. About Jack's childhood, about the pressure to join the family business, about Claire's betrayal and how it broke something fundamental in him. He gave her everything, Margaret said, and she threw it away for someone with more money, someone with better connections. It wasn't about Jack at all. It was about what he could provide. So he came to Wyoming and pretended to be poor. He came to Wyoming and was himself. The cabin. That's not pretend. Jack really does prefer simple living. The big house was my idea. I insisted he have somewhere proper for when winter got brutal. He's lived in that cabin by choice most of the time. What about the money? Doesn't touch it. Lives off what he makes from the ranch, which is considerable now that it's fully operational. The fortune just sits there growing. He doesn't care about it. Lily processed this. Why not tell me after I arrived, after he knew I wasn't after his money? Fear. Margaret's eyes were sad. Jack was terrified that once you knew you'd change, that you'd start seeing dollar signs instead of him. It's happened before. Women who seem perfect suddenly getting ideas about vacation homes and designer clothes once they learn the truth. I'm not like that. I know. Jack knows too. That's why he's devastated. Margaret refilled Lily's tea. He really loves you, dear. I've never seen him like this. Not once in 32 years. Love built on lies isn't real love. Love built on discovering who someone really is, absolutely real love. You fell for the man, not the money. That's exactly what Jack needed to know. He just went about proving it the wrong way. Lily left Margaret's house with a head full of thoughts and a heart full of confusion. That night, Lily drove out to Jack's property. She didn't know why. Maybe to see the real house. Maybe to understand the full scope of the deception. Maybe because, despite everything, she missed him. She followed the main road deeper into the property. After 20 minutes, she saw lights. The house was massive, stone and timber built into the mountainside, floor-to-ceiling windows glowing warm in the darkness. It looked like something from a magazine. Beautiful. Impressive. Nothing like the cabin. Lily parked and stood looking at it. This was Jack's real life. This wealth, this luxury. The cabin had been play acting. Then she noticed something. A light in the distance, beyond the big house. She drove toward it. The cabin, their cabin, smoke curling from the chimney. Jack's truck parked outside. He wasn't living in the mansion. He was still in the cabin. Lily got out and walked to the door, knocked. Footsteps. The door opened. Jack looked terrible. Unshaven, dark circles under his eyes, wearing the same clothes she'd seen him in 3 days ago. Lily. Her name sounded like a prayer. You came. I came. They stared at each other. Lily saw past the exhaustion to the pain underneath. He was hurting as much as she was. Can I come in? Of course, he stepped back. Always. The cabin looked the same. Their cabin, small and warm and real. Why are you still here? Lily asked. You have that mansion over the hill. This is home. Jack's voice was rough. That's just a house. This is where I lived with you, where we were happy, where everything was real. Was it real, any of it? All of it. Every moment. He moved closer. Lily, I know I screwed up. I should have told you sooner. Should have trusted you with the truth. But I was scared. Scared that if you knew about the money, everything would change. It has changed because you lied. I didn't lie. I just didn't volunteer information that would have colored how you saw me. That's a lie by omission. Maybe. Probably. Jack ran his hands through his hair. But Lily, think about it. If I'd told you on day one that I was worth billions, would you have looked at me the same way? Would you have seen me or the money? Lily wanted to say she would have seen him. But she wasn't sure. The money would have changed things, would have made her second guess every interaction. I don't know, she admitted. Exactly. You don't know, neither did I, so I kept it separate. The cabin, you, us, that was real life. The money was just noise. 50,000 acres isn't noise, Jack. It's a kingdom. A kingdom I barely use. Lily, I meant what I said about building a life out here. A simple life. The land is for conservation, for keeping developers out. I'm not building resorts or condos. I'm protecting wilderness. In a 10,000 square foot mansion. That my mother insisted on. And yeah, it's nice. It's comfortable. But I've spent maybe 10 nights there. I prefer this cabin. I prefer simple. They stood in the small space, the same space where they'd cooked together, talked together, fallen for each other. Why did you hire a mail-order bride? Lily asked quietly. With all your money, you could have anyone. That's exactly why. Anyone who knew about the money wanted the money. I needed someone who'd want me without it. Someone who'd be happy in this cabin, with this life, with just me. No additions. And I passed your test. It wasn't a test. It was hope. Hope that someone could see me and not the money. And you did. You fell for the man in the cabin, not the billionaire in the newspapers. Lily's anger was fading, replaced by understanding. You're still an idiot. I know. You should have told me. I know. I trusted you. I know. And I betrayed that trust. I'm sorry. His eyes were bright. Lily, I'm so sorry. I thought I was protecting him. Instead, I hurt you. That's the last thing I wanted. Lily looked around the cabin, at the wood stove they'd cooked on together, the table where they'd shared meals, the couch where they'd sat during the storm. This place was real. Their relationship had been real. The money didn't change any of that. I don't care about your money, she said finally. I care that you lied, that you didn't trust me with the truth. I'm trusting you now with everything. I'll answer any question, show you anything, no more secrets. Why? Because I love you, because losing you these past 3 days has been hell. Because I'd rather have you in this cabin with full honesty than in that mansion with secrets between us. Lily's heart hammered. You really love me. God, yes, I love you so much it terrifies me. I love how you sing while you cook, how you're not afraid of hard work, how you made this cabin feel like home, how you look at me and see Jack, not Henderson, just Jack. The poor cowboy who's actually a billionaire, the idiot who fell in love and handled it badly. A smile tugged at Lily's lips. Yeah, you really did handle it badly. I'm aware. Jack stepped closer. Can you forgive me? Can we start over with honesty this time? I don't want to start over. Lily reached for him. I want to keep what we built, but with the full truth, all of it. No more omissions. Deal. He pulled her close. Ask me anything. I'll tell you everything. They stood in their cabin holding each other, and Lily asked questions about his fortune, his land, his plans, his past, everything. Jack answered honestly, openly, holding nothing back. When she ran out of questions, they kissed, deep and real and full of promise. So, Jack said against her lips, what happens now? Now we figure out what our life looks like, together, with full transparency. Do we live in the cabin or the mansion? The cabin, at least most of the time. I like it here, even with the outhouse. Okay, maybe we install indoor plumbing, but otherwise the cabin. Jack laughed, the sound joyful. I can do that. What else? We make this work. The real us. Not the poor cowboy and the desperate mail-order bride, but Jack and Lily, billionaire and whatever I am, partners. I like partners. He kissed her again. Lily Martinez, you're the best decision I've ever made, even if I bungled the execution. You really did bungle it. I'm aware. They spent the night in the cabin in the bed they'd shared, talking and planning and rediscovering each other with new honesty. Epilogue. 1 year later, the cabin had indoor plumbing now, and electricity, and internet. But it was still the cabin, still small, still simple, still home. Lily stood in a stallion porch watching the valley that was now legally half hers. Jack had insisted on putting the land in both their names after the wedding. What's mine is yours, he had said. All of it. They'd gotten married in the clearing where Jack had taken her that first time. Just Margaret and a few ranch hands and a justice of the peace. Lily wore a simple dress. Jack wore jeans and his best shirt. It was perfect. The big house sat empty except when they had guests or needed to escape winter's worst. But they spent most nights here in the cabin where everything had started. Lily had paid off her father's debts, all of them. Jack had insisted despite her protests. What's the point of having money if we can't fix problems? He'd argued. She'd agreed but insisted on paying him back through ranch work. He'd laughed and accepted. She ran the ranch now, not Jack Lily. She'd discovered she loved it. The land, the animals, the work. Jack handled the conservation side and his tech investments. They made a good team. The door opened behind her. Jack wrapped his arms around her waist, resting his chin on her head. Thinking, he asked, about how different everything is from a year ago. Better different. Much better, even with the lies and the drama and everything. I'm still sorry about the lies. I know I've forgiven you, mostly. She turned in his arms, though I reserve the right to bring it up during arguments. Fair. He kissed her nose. What's for dinner? Whatever you're cooking. It's your turn. Right, my turn. He groaned dramatically. How did I end up with a wife who makes me cook? You advertised for someone who wasn't afraid of hard work. You got what you asked for. They went inside together, bickering playfully about dinner. The cabin was warm and full of life. Their life, real and honest and messy and perfect. Lily had come to Wyoming looking for an escape from debt. She'd found a home, a partner, a love that was real precisely because it had been tested. Jack had been afraid that money would ruin any chance at real connection. Instead, he'd found someone who loved him despite the money, who'd proven that the man in the cabin was worth loving even without knowing about the mansion over the hill. Together, they'd built something neither could have built alone, and the foundation tested by lies and strengthened by truth was unshakable. Did this twist keep you guessing? Like, if you didn't see the Billionaire reveal coming, subscribe for more stories about secret identities and tested love. Comment which moment shocked you most, the newspaper reveal, the mansion, or Lily choosing the cabin over luxury. Drop your thoughts below. New story drops in 2 days.